Peace, everybody, and welcome to the DOD45. On this episode, we have Oscar and Emmy Award winner, effects makeup artist Howard Berger. He is the guy that makes the things look real. He makes things look scary and spooky. So pull up an ear and listen to my man Tai talk to Howard Berger in this very spooky Halloween season. Don't eat the funny color candies. Leave the candy corns alone.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen.
DOD45. This is the DOD45 podcast, drawing over discussions 45 minutes with a special guest. Welcome. I'm your host and resident artist, Tai of Art by Tai, and with my co-host, Adrienne Taiwali'i, we're having conversations with people who I admire and am inspired by. On this episode, I'll set a 45-minute timer, put my pen to the paper, and we'll learn about our guest through an interview-style discussion. So stay right here with us to experience some laughs and maybe even learn a thing or two. DOD45. Okay, hello, welcome. Good morning, Adrienne. Oh, I can't see you on my screen. Switch to the... Oh, there we go. Good morning.
Hi.
How are you?
Annoyed?
Why?
Generally.
Why? I'm sure people would like to hear it.
I don't know. I'm just annoyed.
Oh, nothing in particular? Or...
Just, I'm generally annoyed lately. I don't know.
Oh. Well, that's what, do I want to get into that now, or should I introduce... today our guest is Howard Berger. I'm really excited about it. He's a master in the special effects world, so it's a little switch up from our normal hip-hop interviews. But he's got a new book out called Masters of Makeup Effects, so we're having him in today, and I'm really excited about that. It's about the being generally annoyed. It's almost Halloween, and that's usually a pretty exciting time. But
not for me.
When we went Halloween shopping last night to get some stuff for our gallery show that's coming up this October 28th, and for Halloween in general. And yeah, you were like, I'm over it already.
I don't. Halloween's is something that's one day a year. I don't like celebrate it. It's not like Christmas where there's a whole lead up to. Apparently, it is now.
Yeah, our daughter's been doing Halloween since October 1st. It's just not your thing?
I don't know. Maybe it's a generational thing. Like Halloween was something you did once a year, and now it's starts in September.
Well, I always
and you need
got prepared for Halloween. I love decorating the house. It's always been a...
No, it's fine. The decorating of the house is fine, but...
Well, that's a lead up. Oh, well. So you're not completely over it, or you are completely over it?
I don't want to decorate anymore. So yeah, when you guys were shopping for things for the gallery, I just was like, I don't... It's just too much stuff. I don't want to be overwhelmed with more stuff.
Well, what do you think of this DOD45 light up thing that I put in?
More stuff.
Oh, shit.
Look at your office. This is stuff everywhere.
I love stuff.
You do. I do not. That's why you have this. So that you have all your stuff.
Yeah. I had to build a whole gallery to put all my stuff in.
Then you came and took my stuff. The few things that I had, and then you brought them in here.
Which stuff?
I don't know. There's some paintings and things that you just snagged.
Well, I like to put my paintings and stuff up. I think
I have a rotation.
Oh.
I have some that I put away for a while until I find a better spot. That doesn't mean that I don't want them.
Oh, okay. Well, you're welcome to grab anything out of here that you want.
Then you can make more room for more stuff.
I can get some more stuff. I love stuff. Speaking of stuff, in my bedroom that I grew up in, I've mentioned it before. I wish you would have saw it. I wonder if you would have been generally annoyed by my bedroom when I was a kid.
If I was a kid, I probably wouldn't have cared. But if I was dating you and your bedroom was full of horror stuff, I'd have been like, I don't know.
Yeah, I had the cardboard cut out a pumpkin head, and like Evil Dead posters everywhere. And both those movies our guest today has worked on, which is really cool. Oh,
I'll tell you, I did buy some stuff yesterday.
You did buy stuff,
but you don't know about it. I was putting. For the last 4 episodes, I've mentioned that Buck 65 album.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not fanning or anything over my buck, but I was putting that album on my running playlist because I did like to run to it, but I want my other songs in there mixed in. And on his Spotify, it was like, these albums are for sale. And I went, what? I've never seen these covers. So I clicked on it and I went over to some merch store. And I'm like, what are these? And I bought them, and they're CDs.
You bought CDs.
I am never going to listen to a freaking CD, and what am I going to do with it? I don't even know. And then I didn't think that it worked because it was like, I thought it was tricking me. They're like, this is the last one. There's one left. So I bought them. And then it didn't look like it went through. So I was like, I should buy his book because I've always wanted his book. So I didn't think that went through. And I went and I bought his book because I just really want to read it. That's the one thing I will do is probably buy books. Although I usually get them from the library. Anyway, so then I bought the book. And then I checked my email later that day. And it said that the CD sales did go through. So now I have 2 CDs that I don't know what they are of his.
Wow.
And I'll never, ever, ever listen to them. And then these CD cases are just going to sit around and collect dust somewhere.
Turns out you are human. You're like the rest of us. You buy stuff.
Well,
but then immediately you're like...
I'm going to have to give them to the kids. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. They're CDs. I'm never, ever, ever going to listen to them.
I know. I've been buying a lot of vinyl, but I know how you feel there because I don't think I could buy a CD.
At least it's small, I guess. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
I do have that one CD player at our house in Utah.
But it's hard to put a CD in.
Yeah, I'll never do it.
No.
I don't want to just listen to a CD.
I know. I love listening to the vinyl in here. I like putting a record on. I like that it forces me to have to stop what I'm doing to flip the album. Well, that's interesting. That's funny. It's funny that you bought stuff.
I got duped with that. One left. There's only one of both of these left.
Well, sorry.
Oh, nothing.
Go ahead. What were you?
Nothing.
You finished? Well, I was going to say it is October, and we're kind of back into the schedule where we're recording the episodes in real time. So I should say it is Art by Time, and the podcast is part of it. So there's still time to get yourself an Ink Tiber book. Does that feel like I'm running an ad?
I don't know. Just say what you got.
Full of the drawings. Just fucking say what you got to say and shut the fuck up.
I will say this though. You can't see it, but one of my few graphic T-shirts I'm wearing today.
Oh. Who is it?
Well, it is.
Oh, there's bats.
It's bats. Our bats are back.
That's funny.
Why is that funny? I love our bats, and we have a big preserve here with old lime mining caves.
Mm-hmm.
And they migrate, and I think our caves hold like 200,000 of the endangered Indiana bat, the Sedalis. Is it mitosis? Mitosis sedalis caves, and so they're back. And our daughter and I saw one yesterday when we went, or a couple days ago when we went out for our walk, hibernating or sleeping under one of the eaves of the places. So
Well, I'm saying it's funny because I wanted to mention this today, or it just happened this morning. Speaking of bats, it was just funny that you brought up bats because on my run this morning, I was just zoning out again and I was listening to the music, and I was running kind of down by where the caves, by Sedalis where the bats are, and I wear this this armband thing with my phone. And my phone stretches these pieces out, but they break. I don't know if you can see it, but like that's broke. So I had this on my arm, and I was running, and I was just zoned out, and it broke. So my phone flipped up and like smacked me in the arm, and I thought a bat hit me.
Oh.
And have you seen the video of the guy in his office, and the squirrel comes in his office, and he's on a Zoom call, and he jumps and he's screaming like this. I didn't scream that bad, but like it flipped up and hit me in the arm, and I was just kind of zoned out, and I thought a bat hit my arm, and I jumped.
Yeah, I did that.
Like,
I did that the other day. I was in your mom's basement checking the gas line, and I stepped on something squishy, and I was FaceTiming her. It was dark. And I screamed because I thought, oh my God, I just stepped on like a dead rat or mouse. It was a Nerf dart down there. I don't know why. But...
yeah, everything. It's all I'm really excited about Halloween. I always have been. It's my favorite holiday of the year. I got my Nightmare on Elm Street coffee mug, wearing my Bad Taste t-shirt.
What does that mean?
Bad Taste? This is this old horror movie. Well, this is a play on Bad Brains' album cover. But Bad Taste is this. It was an old independent movie by Peter Jackson, the one who does the, the Lord of the Rings. It is the bloodiest, goriest, grossest movie. It's so fantastic. I love it. So if you get a chance to get out and watch that, it's not scary. It's just bloody, gory, and I think it's Peter Jackson's first movie, so go see that. That's awesome. Or rent it or find it somewhere. That's going to come up a little bit later because I wanted to ask our guest about something about that. Oh, so I mentioned I wanted to be a special effects artist my whole life. That's not my whole life. That went away, after I started making movies. But it was always something I really, 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 really wanted to do. So I'm really excited about our guest. The other thing, not only did I want to be a special effects artist, but I also made movies. I wanted to make movies. I loved movies. I'm a huge fan of movies. And I've made 5 feature-length films. Actually, 5. One of them the public has seen, the major public. But they were never horror movies. They just had a little bit of horror. Right? They're like thrillers maybe, but... they were kind of boring because I didn't have the production value and all that. I once had a chance to go work on a horror movie, on a Tom Savini movie in North Carolina, or it was in Atlanta. That we were dating at that time, right? Yeah. No?
You never went to Atlanta.
I didn't go. It was right before 9/11. Remember, my movie was playing at a film festival in North Carolina. Were we dating at that time? Mm-hmm. God, we must have been. I mean, we were, though, right?
We've been dating since you were like 19, so...
Oh. So I did make a movie when I was 19. Twice
You
Today?
had it out when you were 18 or something.
Yeah.
17 or 18.
Well, anyway.
Not Twice Today, Luck and Rat Poisoning.
Yeah, no, but there was a Twice Today was playing at the film festival in North Carolina. The festival I won best picture. Anyway, that I met a guy there that was making a horror movie with Tom Savini, and I was supposed to go fly out there and stay with the guy and work on the movie, but then 9/11 happened, and then I was never getting on a plane again, or at least I didn't think so. Anyway, so my love for movies, though, actual movies, not just the special effects part, came from Pulp Fiction. I saw Pulp Fiction when Pulp Fiction first came out. I saw it in the movie theater, I think 12 times, and I signed up for film school right after I saw it, and I was like, I'm gonna make fucking movies. So I bring that up because our guest also has worked on all of Tarantino's movies. I don't know about all of them, but I think so. Since Reservoir Dogs, he was the makeup artist on Reservoir Dogs. I didn't realize that I mean, I knew our guest was did the horror movies and stuff because I was a fan of the horror movies when I was younger. So that's cool. I wanted to bring that up. So going into today's discussion, preparing for it, I want to use this vegan restaurant analogy. You know how when we go into a vegan restaurant and the menus, like, it's overwhelming. There's so many different choices that you're almost like, I don't know. It's like just overwhelming. Well, that's how I feel today because there's so much that I want to ask our guest Howard about, but I know we won't have the time, and I know we won't be able to get to it. So you could fill an entire wall with, I don't know about your favorite movies, but like most people could fill an entire wall with their favorite movies and throw a dart at the wall, and it'll probably hit a movie that Howard, our guest, has worked on.
Wait, his name's Howard?
Yeah. Howard Berger is his name. Why?
Well, when you first told me that, I shouldn't even say this. When you first told me that the other day, I just kept thinking of hamburger. And so this whole time, I'm like, I think his name's Tom Berger. Hamburger. I don't know. You should probably cut that out.
No, that's funny. I mean, his last name's Berger.
He's somebody a household name.
No, I don't think so.
I just don't.
He's not necessarily a household name. He's a makeup. I mean, he did the makeup effects and stuff. Most people don't know those names. Lots of people know Tom Savini's name because Tom Savini was also an actor, and he was kind of one of the ones that made the special effects scene, like turned it into like a rock star thing. And Tom Savini was sort of a rock star. I mean, Howard even worked with Tom Savini on plenty of movies. Listen, that being said, even though he's not a household name, he has won an Oscar. I mean, the guy has an Oscar statue, and he won that for Chronicles of Narnia. He did this makeup, the special effects, the makeup. Yeah, he won an Oscar for that. He's also an Emmy Award winner. He's got an Emmy for his work on Walking Dead. His company, KNB, with Greg Nicotero, they do the Walking Dead series. So, I mean...
Is that still running?
I don't know. You know, I tell people I binge watched it like 6 seasons, and I just couldn't take anymore. Binge watching Walking Dead is a hard one to do. Because you're like... You watch them back to back, and you're like, are you fucking serious? How many bullets does this guy have in this gun? And then how many times can you walk into a room alone, without like someone else? When you see that right next to each other, it's like, are you kidding me? So those kind of shows are hard to binge watch. But
I felt like that's kind of how Ozark was.
That was how Ozark was for me, like, for
really?
Sure. Yeah, I'm like, come on, dude. You're going to do that now? You just went through this, you dumbass.
I did finish it, but...
Okay, well, I guess we're going to be going to a break here pretty soon because I'm sure he's going to be showing up. But I wanted to say, I wanted to thank a few people real quick while we're sitting here. I wanted to thank AWOL1 for doing the announcing for our show. It's really cool to me. I want to thank Mr. Dibbs for wanting to do these whole question things. It was his idea. Actually, it was his idea to have past guests ask questions, but then you were like, why don't you just have just Dibbs do the questions? And then also I wanted to thank, we have a partnership with some new, sponsor's a weird word, but Brim...
No, it's not.
Huh? Is it? Okay. Okay. Some sponsorship partners with Brim of the World, aka Aliens Built Earth, Seek, Conquer, Destroy, or is it Search, Conquer, Destroy? Anyway, the clothing line, they're awesome, and this is a Brim of the World hat. I actually bought this before, we hooked up with them. I'm a big fan of their clothing line. And then Hob Sauce. And obviously, we're big Hob Sauce fans. I've done a label for Hob Sauce. So I want to thank all of them for being a part of it. And AWOL1's podcast, I seriously listen to it. It's one of the ones that I just don't miss. But he's got, this October, he's playing these old horror, like vintage commercials. He does a whole episode of vintage commercials, and he's talking about old horror movies and stuff. So it's a real good time to be listening to the Speaker Face podcast. So after you're done checking us out, make sure you go check out our pal AWOL1. The one other thing, with the sponsor thing. I was bringing it up because I did get a comment from someone. Someone left a comment about the production value of the show. They recognized like that the production value is kind of stepped up. I thought that was really cool, and it's because we were putting a little more time and stuff into it. This is still just like an extension of Art by Tai. This isn't what we do for a living, but it's I lost my train of thought. What I am going to say, I think I'm going to start doing a thing. We're going to put together a little package that you can win. I want to give you some hot sauce from Hob Sauce, some clothing line from Brim of the World, and Book of Arms book from Art by Tai, and maybe some prints and stuff in that. We'll put together a little package. And the way you can win is all you got to do is go on and leave a comment on a past episode.
On where?
On YouTube.
Okay.
Leave a comment on any past episode. The more comments you leave, the more chances you'll have to win. Or you can also just leave a review at Apple Podcast or Spotify. Leave a review for the show. What we'll do once a month, we'll just draw a name. We'll take all the names from all the people that have left a review or all the people who've left a comment and put them in a hat, and we'll just draw a name.
And then they can find that on our DOD45 Instagram.
Actually, I have something different for the Instagram one. Yeah, DOD45.com or DOD45W at DOD45W on Instagram. On the Instagram thing, I was thinking, leave us a comment of guests you would like to see us have on the show. And if we end up booking the guest you suggested, we'll even have you call in and leave with your question for our guest. Now, keep in mind, it's not like, I doubt we're going to be able to land a George Clooney guest. That being said, Howard Berger has worked with George Clooney on From Dusk Till Dawn. But no, obviously we're not going to get George Clooney. But I don't care. You can leave whoever you want. Anyone you would like to see us try to get on the show. But anyway, what do you think of that? Did I cruise through that too fast, or was it too much information? Because I felt like your eyes were glossing over.
You explained.
I mansplained.
Yes. So leave a comment, win a prize.
Leave a comment, win a prize, or leave a review. Good?
Yeah.
All right.
Quick break.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with our guest, Howard Berger.
DOD45. Hob Sauce.
Amplify the flavor of your favorite foods with Hob Sauce's award-winning flavors. Create your own 4-pack at hobsauces.com. Not only do they make dope hot sauce, they collaborate with dope artists for their labels and flavors, including myself, Atmosphere, Aesop Rock, Crayola, Rob Sonic, and so many more. We love Hob Sauce over here at DOD45 and damn near put it on everything we eat. We got extra bottles in the car, Adrienne has one in her purse, I have an emergency bottle in my backpack, and if you're ever running out, we always have a bottle available of the garlic turmeric, which I did the octopus label for, here at my gallery in Hannibal, Missouri. Hit it, Bobby.
Have sauce, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Put it on your food.
Hob Sauce.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the world. My name is Tony, and I have a podcast, too. I know what you're saying. I already know. Okay, but I have a podcast, too. Just like you, just like your grandma, just like your grandma's neighbor. We all have podcasts, except mine is different. I'm different. I was born different. The Speaker Face podcast is fun. It will teach you probably nothing. You cannot smell it, and you definitely can taste it. Speaker Face podcast by me, AWOL1, and I talk to my friends, I talk to musicians, artists, all kinds of creative people, all kinds of human beings. I do like little songs and little freestyles and skits. And so after you're done listening to DOD45 with my man Tai, which is a very, 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 very interesting podcast that you should religiously watch and listen to. After you're done, check out speakerface.store for the Speakerface podcast. And you could also listen to it wherever other podcasts are podcasting. You know what I'm saying? So check it out. Speakerface Podcast. Your life will be better. I don't promise. Speakerface Podcast.
Here's a little story that must be told. Hey, we are stoked to be starting a relationship with Brim of the World and look forward to building on our partnership with them in the future. Listen, I almost never go without a hat, so hooking up with Brim of the World was a no-brainer. As far as your situation goes, you know your head is looking pretty chump these days, and it's time to throw some headgear on there. And I'm not talking braces headgear, I'm talking about hats. And Bot World, aka Brim of the World, has a treasure trove of headwear to pick from, so check them out at brimoftheworld.com. And also check out their SCD collection. SCD is Seek, Conquer, Destroy, and it's their action sports brand. Seek wisdom to conquer all obstacles and destroy anything that tries to stand in your way for success. Also check out their Aliens Built Earth clothing line. Super dope clothing line. I rock their hoodies and shirts all the damn time. Aliens Built Earth was born with the notion and belief that aliens built Earth. You'll find some type of clothing or headwear from these cats on me at almost all times, and that was before DOD45 partnered with them. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Head over to brimoftheworld.com and start building your wardrobe now. And I just noticed they're offering free shipping in the US. So, I mean, really, can you beat that? No, you cannot. Hey, it's me, Ty, just popping on real quick to let you know that my art is available for purchase at artbyty.com. So if you like what you're seeing or you want to support this podcast, the best way for you to do that is by picking up a print or an original on my website. If you're not quite ready for a purchase, but you still want to help out, go ahead and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you stream from. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you'll never miss an episode. All right, enough of all that. Now let's get back to the show.
DOD45.
Hello.
Hello, Howard. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Fantastic. I can hear you.
Perfect. That's even better.
How long is it comfortable to go on with that? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? You're mute. You're mute. So yeah, that's the new phrase. That's the phrase of this year. You're on mute.
Oh, I'm looking at your coffee mug. Is that the book that's on your coffee mug?
Oh, yes.
Coffee mugs, but is that your book that's on there? Yeah,
it is. Yes, it is. Yes, we have a lot of swag.
I do want to thank you though for joining us on the show. It's really amazing having you on the show. I don't like to fan out too much when I have people on the show. I don't like to make people uncomfortable, but I am a huge fan.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
I used to watch this movie every single morning. Not every single morning, but it wasn't a movie. It was like a highlights of new horror movies coming out. Mm-hmm. But it was on videotape, and I can't remember what it was called. I still have the tape, but it's back in my home. What
is it about?
The two movies that it covered that were in it were Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, and Bad Taste. But in this, they did a tour of the KNB studio, but I can't remember. It was like kind of like a magazine. Like I can't. What do you call this?
Movie Magic. Was that it? Movie Magic?
Yeah, I know I would remember if I heard it, so I don't think that was it.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. But it was the first time. I mean, I loved horror movies, and I was always watching horror movies, but that was when I discovered KNB. So I've been a fan ever since then.
Cool.
Yeah, growing up, we were. I wish I could remember the name of this show, but yeah, it was. They were just kind of like highlighting all these different horror movies that were out. And then they did a little tour of the.
But what about
KNB.
it? You watched it all the time because of why?
Well, because I loved. First of all, I loved showing it to all the kids, and I mean at that time I was 11 years old, so it was really fucking cool for me to show people this video, especially like of the Bad Taste. They were showing a bunch of scenes of Bad Taste, and I was like, check this shit out. I just loved watching it and showing people, and it was like one of the. nowadays we have internet, so people can find out like, how do I make a machete going through the head,
right.
Or but there was no really way to find that out other than the magazines.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like one of the first shows that I saw like in person. Like, here's how you do this.
Yeah.
And then seeing KNB, like just seeing you guys, like I don't know, it was exciting. And so I watched it all the time.
Oh, cool, man. Yeah, there was a bunch of those. Yeah, maybe. There was a lot of those back then. When the shops were back in the '80s and early '90s, they had a lot of behind the scenes shows and stuff like that are
yeah.
Crazy
Now it's all
cool.
just like YouTube clips or YouTube videos, and yeah. I guess I don't know if that's better or worse. I don't know. I don't want to.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's fine. I mean, it gets it out there. It's just a different world. It's easier for people to go, okay, I want to take a look at, KNB, and they can write KNB EFX in, and then boom, all these hundreds of videos come up. So, that's great. If it interests people and the interest is there and they're enthusiastic about it, that sounds great to me. Yeah. So I have no issue with it.
I want to ask you when you were talking about you're doing all your own promotion.
Yeah.
You've been around for a while. Is it weird, like having to get back in those to fill those boots of like, I need to promote and get out there and do that?
No,
again?
because it's different. It's for a different venue. If I had to go out and promote myself as to try to get a job, that would be strange because I haven't done that in decades. But for the book, it's different because I'm selling this labor of love sort of thing. So it's different. And also I just know where to go. It's not against the publishers. It's just,
sure.
I just don't really know. I learned that, don't underestimate laziness and they just kind of make the book and then that's it.
Right.
And, they haven't done any job. Like every event that we've set up is because I set it up. And, we're sold out in the United States. So they're starting the second run, which will be, I guess, hopefully it'll be ready for Christmas because they're expecting a big Christmas. They have tons and tons of orders they can't fill currently. And then in the UK, they're doing okay. So they're pulling stock from the UK and shipping it here to fulfill all the orders here. Because there was a little bit of a lag when the book was released. People weren't getting their books as quickly as they had hoped. And then, now they are, but the supply is out. So that's nice. And that's the other thing too. The publishers underestimated the popularity of the book. But again, we've been pushing the shit out of it. So, sometimes I feel like weird, like I'm posting too much about it. So,
well, before it's time to start drawing, I want to ask, has it changed or is it just changed that I'm older now? Like I felt like there was a fever for that, for like special effects in movies and horror movies and stuff back when I was growing up. Has it changed? Is there less of it or
no?
Okay.
Not at all. No, it's still a fever. I mean, I think, the thing is we have directors that are now are directors that were the kids that watched the movies in the 80s and 90s. And they're like, I want to do stuff like that. I've worked with so many directors who are fans of, all those movies and all the effects. And now they're doing those movies and they want to have practical makeup effects. So it's never been a lull for us, tell you the truth. It's like everyone always thinks like, oh, well, when VFX came about, it just changed. It became a different animal. So it wasn't like, okay, well, I guess we're out of work. Now it's all going to be digital. It wasn't that at all. And it's not that at all. So
I'm really happy to hear that too.
Yeah. You and me both.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to set the timer and do a little drawing for you.
Okay. Sounds cool.
You mentioned that you were a big fan of Creatures of the Black Lagoon.
Of course.
And which is great, but also shitty for me because I have tried to draw.
Come on, you can do it.
Before, there's just so much. Like I discovered in my career, I don't love things that have a lot of tedious things in it, and like the scale. What do you call them? The scales? No?
Yeah, all the scales.
Yeah,
There's a lot going on with the creature. But you know what? But with that, it's all about the silhouette. That's how we approach everything from design. Is like, let's look at the silhouette, because when you're looking at a creature, as you're designing it, it's not about the detail. It's about the silhouette. How's that going to cut, in the frame? And that really, that's how we do it all. That's how everything's about silhouette. And then we go inward from there.
And still that same approach. It's always been the approach.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're designing stuff for a show right now, a lot of stuff. And I'm just like, don't worry about the detail. Just let's focus on the silhouette of the creature.
Oh,
So-
well, that
And then you move forward with, so you've
Yeah.
got the silhouette and then the
Yeah, then
layer
once we
on top.
have like, okay, we kind of like this. I mean, we don't draw like just like a black silhouette, but I'm like,
Oh, right.
you got to sit there and look at it, and how movies are made. Things are going to be shot dark or however. So you don't want something that's like it's all about detail. I always say, in lieu of form, do massive amounts of detail. But we don't like that. We always think about like, how's this going to cut? What's the silhouette going to cut? And that's what you're going to remember. I mean, if I showed you a photo or a silhouette of Frankenstein's monster by Jack Pierce, played by Boris Karloff, you would go, that's Frankenstein's monster, because it's the most iconic makeup ever done. That silhouette is worldwide known, and so that's what you want to do. And I also learned a lot of that from Richard Taylor at Weta. We were speaking about bad taste. Not that Richard worked on Bad Taste for Peter Jackson, but shortly after that he did with, Dead Alive and Meet the Feebles and of course Lord of the Rings. But Richard and I talked a lot about design, and when he was designing King Kong for Peter's Kong, it was all about the silhouette and doing a drawing or designing it so that a kid could draw it on his lunch bag.
Right.
And Richard just showed it to me, and he did it right there on the loop. And I'm like, that's brilliant. And it's that simplicity, that makes it really come to life. That if you're a child and you can, draw the creature simple enough and it looks like it, that's fantastic. You've done a great job designing your monster. So
well, and I discovered in my drawing that, because I get asked a lot from younger artists, like, how do you get it to look like this or get something to look so perfect? And I often will tell them, I only do like a half of the work. The actual human brain sees what it sees and it'll make it up already. You know what I'm saying? Like your brain, if I'm drawing an elephant, it doesn't have to be perfect. The human who's viewing it goes, oh, that's an elephant. And they already fill in all of those things. Do you find that be the same in making?
Well, I what I think what that's about is, it depends what you're working on. Like, obviously, if you're doing an old age makeup, there is something familiar. I mean, we all know what older people look like.
Right.
So you can have more of a fault with that. Like people can like, it just doesn't quite look right. It doesn't feel natural to me. Same with like, if you're going to replicate an animal, like a giant elephant or something, we all know what elephants look like. But if you're doing creature stuff, that's out of our imagination. So no one's going to go, that doesn't really look like a demon to me, or that doesn't really look like, a mutated creature or whatever. So you have a lot more leeway when you're dealing with creature stuff. But it is nice to always have something that feels familiar. It's almost like in architecture. There's places that, like a lot of these outdoor malls, like, here in LA, we have, like the Grove and the Americana. They feel there's something familiar about the design of the architecture. So when you go there, it just feels, you feel comfortable. It's a weird thing.
That is weird.
It is weird, but you go and you're like, okay, this kind of feels a little, like old town kind of fun, and it's the way they design it, And
then you spend more money because you're just comfortable.
Right. Exactly. You spend more money buying stuff, and you spend money eating and buying things that you don't need, and which we all do. And but yeah, it's definitely, we definitely like, you want to have, I mean, obviously if you're going to design or create something that you have reference to, you want to try to match it the best you can.
Right. Well, and I was thinking you were saying how it's familiar, and it made me wonder, I think that maybe why, like, that's probably why in movies where they have like a fake cat or a fake dog, it just looks so fake.
Yes.
Because because we know exactly.
Exactly what it is. I mean, we make really good animals, but there's times I'm like, Jesus, that just, it looks good when you're holding it and you get it to set and there's a real dog and you're like, this might as well be a loaf of bread, Is it the movement or is it the hair? Or it's everything. It's all of the above. It's so hard to duplicate an animal, It's so hard. Cats are the worst. Like you cannot duplicate it. It's so hard to make a fake cat. And that's also difficult with, again, with like age makeup. So, I've done films where we had an actor in an age makeup with real older actors. And to me, it's just like a red herring. You're just like, okay, pick the makeup out. It's right there. Cause there's very few people who can really pull that off,
I discovered I used to make movies back in the day, but I realized I'm not a great collaborator. But I made a movie and we had Todd Bridges in it, and I wanted him, the character, he was supposed to be old. So I was like, can you just make him look like Morgan Freeman? And they told me, the makeup guys were like, yeah, we can try.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a trick. It's all a trick, but you have to have time to do it, and here at KNB, like Greg Nicotero, who's my business partner for 35 years and friend for 40. We're lucky because we can pick and choose. So, we are able to smell out the shows that we feel are going to, be advantageous to us and our crew, and really try to stay away from things that seem like they're going to be a mess and more trouble than they're worth. Like after all these years, I'm over everything being difficult, like unnecessarily difficult. I'm great with a challenge. That's wonderful, but I'm not big on disorganization and having to pick up the pieces from people that should know better, that are supposedly in charge, who look to us and other people on the crew to clean up their mess because they're ill prepared. They come to set ill prepared. Those shows don't interest me on any level. So I just find, and also if they're not fun, like I actually want to do this because it's fun. I do it because it's fun. Anything that's not fun, I just really I get very deflated very quickly. Do
you feel like you could pick up on those people, like instantly within a couple sentences?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. The second I see them, I'm like, that's a fail.
Yep.
Yeah. And really, there was a show I did a couple of years ago, and I really liked the executive producer and writer showrunner a lot. He was great. And he knew it was a horror series, and he knew his stuff. Then they had a director/producer, and right away I could tell that they had no clue what they were doing, and had the only horror they knew was what they researched on Google probably 10 minutes before the meeting.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, this is going to be a train wreck. The show was not a train wreck. The person ended up leaving the show, or being asked to leave the show, which
that was the director or the producer?
This was both the director. Oh, one of the, like, you have a directing producer
right
on a series.
On a series.
So it was the producing director. And I'm like, and I went to the creator and I went, this is going to be bad. I got a bad feeling. And, we gave it a try, but I smell it a mile away. Mm-hmm. I can walk in and go, no, I'm okay. And I usually just say, I'm okay, guys. Thank you very much, but I'm okay. I'm going to pass, and best of luck.
Yeah.
Best of luck. I hope everything goes great, but this one's not for me.
Yeah. I mean, you want people to succeed, but at the same time, like, especially when you've been doing it long enough, you know, you're like, I don't need to, for early on, people are like, oh, sure, do whatever you need to do. But I'm not in this for, well, let me hit you with a couple of the Sophie's Choice questions, because I like to start off the show with that. Your first Sophie's Choice is going to be Howard Stern or Howard Cosell?
Well, I would say Howard Stern from the 80s, because I listened to Howard Stern every morning at work when he was on the radio. I have not listened to Howard Stern since he's been on Sirius or whatever he's on, just because to me, what made it so great when he was live on the radio is that's what he was getting away with murder. Yeah. But once you're broadcasting with no limits or limitations, and you could say whatever. So the shock aspect is gone, but I loved Howard Stern. I remember working in New York in 1989 and the first time I heard Howard Stern, and when we got back to LA, I'm like, dude, we have to listen to Howard Stern. He's amazing. And we listened to him, myself and Bob Kurtzman. We listened to him every single morning, and it was just fantastic. But, but I also liked Howard Cosell, Howard Cosell was awesome, but no, Howard Stern, pretty brilliant, in the early days, I thought. Yeah,
we still listen to him. I mean, I still listen to him every day. I do have him in Sirius. I've been listening to him for a long time. He's definitely changed, and I do get that thing about, it's almost like going to a live, like the figure eights in a derby. Like you're waiting for the crash or something.
Right.
When he was live on air, that was kind of the exciting.
Oh yeah, you never knew, and you knew he was going to get in trouble.
Yeah,
you know?
No, he doesn't get in trouble.
No, it's. I mean, there's no peril or threat anymore. So that was the fun thing, and and also Sam Kinison was alive, and you'd have Sam Kinison and Jackie and all those guys. I mean, it was complete hilarity. I loved the show back then. Well,
I mean, so Howard often asks this question, and so I thought I wanted to ask it of you. He does ask it of guests, his actors and stuff. He asks it a lot, but he asks them after you've won your Oscar, is your phone ringing off the hook now? Are jobs coming out of everywhere? Is that he always will ask people, and most people are like, no, but I wanted to ask you that. Was that the case for you?
It doesn't work that way. You win the Oscar and that's great. Really what it's about is the work that you've done. And you work so hard on shows and films, and the award stuff is just the gravy. You don't get onto a job to win an award. That's not what it's about. You do it because you want to do the show. It's going to be great fun, and you're going to have a good time and great opportunity and work with your friends. Yeah, I mean, I won the Academy Award with Tammy Lane, who is one of my favorite people on earth. And the next day we were back at work being treated like shit. So, there you go. So it doesn't mean it's not like it's great. Like I'll forever be known as an Academy Award winner.
Yeah. That gets used in everything. I mean, it'll get used when I even promote. Hey, watch the episode with Oscar award winning.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, there's not a lot of people, and if you think about the world, there's under 4,000. Maybe there's 4,000 Oscars that have been handed out, but that's about it. Mine is in the 3,000 zone. So, and that was in 2006. So
and you were on the TV part, because there are a lot that don't get shown, right?
No, not at all. That's not true at all.
Oh,
no, every category is shown.
Oh,
what they did this year, they tried something different that wasn't as successful as they hoped, which was they pre-recorded 8 categories that were then edited into the show. So they were not live, but they were on. There are no categories that are excluded from the Academy Awards.
Oh, okay. I thought they didn't. No. Yeah. Well, they should have pre-recorded Chris Rock's whole part.
Yeah. Well, I think in retrospect, they wish everything was different. So
that was probably the best thing that ever happened to him, probably in a while.
I don't know. It was probably the worst thing that ever happened to Will Smith.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I even think even worse for Chris Rock. I mean, I know we're not going to go into that, but now he'll forever. I would be forever.
People will forget that, but I don't think they'll forget Will Smith's part.
I agree with you. I think that Chris will be fine, and he handled it like a gentleman and a pro, and Will always have that hanging over his head. Oh, absolutely, absolutely,
and rightfully so. At least in my opinion.
I agree.
How about this one? Howard P. Lovecraft or Howard Hughes?
So H.P. Lovecraft or Howard Hughes? Oh, H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, that one's pretty easy.
Yes, of course. H.P. Lovecraft. Are you kidding? Yeah, I mean, again, that's his stories and books are part of what fuels a lot of us. Our imagination. I mean, we all are familiar with it. We all read it. We all dreamed about what Cthulhu is and all that, Shadowrun Innsmouth and all that stuff, and super cool stuff. And absolutely H.P. Lovecraft.
Last one with the names: Bob's Burgers or Bob Hope?
I'm going to say Bob Hope.
Cool.
Yeah, I love Bob Hope. So
Me too.
I miss that comedy. I will watch those shows, and same with like the Dean Martin roasts. Those are unbelievable. They're so funny. And those guys are really great. I mean, they're all amazing comedians and performers and entertainers. And that's what we're missing a lot of in this world today.
Mm-hmm.
Like those guys were really class and funny. And you just sit there and watch. Or Johnny Carson. You watch the old Johnny Carson shows. Just outstanding on every level. So, and Bob Hope, everything Bob Hope did was great. So yeah, I love Bob Hope.
I loved watching Bob Hope. And there was something, like this, I don't want to say, I like, obviously we talked about Howard Stern. I like that dirty and shock stuff, but there's something even kind of cool about Bob Hope comedy.
Oh, of course.
That doesn't seem to exist anymore.
No, not at all. You know, same with like Don Rickles. I think Don Rickles was so great. And I'll tell you a little story. So I was working with my friend Wayne Toth on the movie called Casino. And so we were in Vegas and we finished shooting for the day, and we were shooting in a real casino. So Wayne and I were walking through the casino back to the trailer, and Wayne just threw a coin into the slot and won $3,000. So it was like, it spread really fast. So when we got into the makeup trailer, Don Rickles was in there and just started on us, and it was great. And we just sat there with giant smiles on our face, because to be, you know, comically berated, you know, hockey puck and all this stuff by Don Rickles was, I mean, a dream come true. On top of the fact that, you know, you go to set, you say, you know, with Marty Scorsese, he introduces you to De Niro and Joe Pesci. And then you got Don Rickles there, and you're like, and I remember we were flying home, and I said, you know, if the plane crashed today, I'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah, awesome.
I mean, that was like one of the greatest experiences of my life. Like Martin Scorsese and, you know, introducing us to these great actors, and Don Rickles is making fun of us in the makeup trailer. It was really something
That
else.
casting was, I thought that was really interesting that Don Rickles was in that, and he was so good in it.
He's great. He's great. And so is Alan King. You know, Alan King's
yeah.
in the movie too. So, you know, I mean, these guys are all professionals. They're entertainers. And that's kind of what we don't have these days. It's hard to find entertainers, you know, and, you know, I think like regarding the Academy Awards, like I love Billy Crystal, and I thought Billy was a great host, and because he's an entertainer, he's not just an actor, he's not just a comedian, he is all about 100 different things, and he's really fantastic. So,
and that host job is an is you've got to be an entertainer.
Yeah, it's entertainment. Yeah,
are there go to shows where the people that pay for the show are there to hear their jokes,
right?
And they only are, you know, like, but like I always thought that was a strange.
It's difficult. Well, I mean, you know, there's a lot of different things they think about. So with ABC wanting ratings and all, I also liked when Seth MacFarlane was the host, and I love Seth. So
you've worked on everything, like all my favorite things. You've got. I mean, it's almost like a dream kind of life. Do you ever feel that way, or is it so normal now? Or do you still have that excitement?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, I mean, I feel very, very, you know, fortunate with the life I have and the career I've had and how my career has allowed me to have the life I have. And I'm always enthusiastic about stuff. I love working with people. I love my friends. I like working on set with my friends. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm just kind of going through the paces. Not that at all. So, I mean, I'm here at KNB today, which is my shop with Nick Otero, and I get here at 5:30 in the morning, and I go home at 4 p.m. and I have a great day, and I like spending the day with my crew. And, you know, nowadays my job has become very administrative more than it is hands-on. I rarely get to do any hands-on work in the shop, but, you know, there's so much with like Zoom meetings now, since that's the new exciting thing. Right. And, excuse me. And, you know, just everybody, you know, if everybody has 10 questions and I've got like 30 people here, that's a lot of questions a day.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So there's always something going on, and we do multiple jobs. So, you know, there could be like, you know, 4 Zoom meetings for 4 different shows in one day. And it just takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And I don't want to like go and try to sculpt something and then I only have like 10 minutes before I have to do that doesn't benefit me. And plus we have so many great people, so many great artists working here that are better than I am at those sort of things. So it's like I can have somebody like Mike Rottola or Jeremy Aiello in there sculpting away, and they knock it out, you know, and that's their only focus for the day, where my focus is split all over the place. So,
right. Do you still end up on, will you still end up on set?
Oh, 100%. Right. That's where I get my artistic joy from. So what I do is I'm a department head. So what that means is I'm in charge of my department. So what I've been doing almost 10 years now, if I do a film, I'll handle everything, including the straight makeup, including, you know, main cast, and then any makeup effects stuff. And that way production just has to hire one person. They hire me, and then I handle everything, opposed to like, okay, we have a straight makeup department head. We have makeup effects department head. It just gets too much. So I like just running the show. I can do it all by myself. You know, obviously I have people that are working with me that are the key to making it successful.
Right.
So, but yes, I mean, tons and tons. I mean, whenever I'm on set, I'm up to my elbows and doing makeups first thing in the morning. And then I go to set all day and do what I have to do on set with everybody.
Do all problems have to come to you when you're a department head?
Yeah.
In your department?
Pretty much. You know, I have a strong key, or nowadays I call my second in command is my co-department head, and I think that works well. And if I need to delegate, I delegate. I have no problem with delegating. You know, I used to. Like,
yeah, that's hard, right?
It is, but it's something I had to learn and to be a better leader and to delegate to people that I trusted. You know, and you can't delegate to everybody. There's a lot of people that you don't trust, but the people that are always in my circle, I trust them 100%.
And you've had a lot. I mean, a lot of the guys, the crew, your crew, and the people who've worked with you, they're long time. I mean, you guys are all long time working together.
Yeah, I've got one guy named Alex Diaz who's been here for 27 years. Yeah. You know, and then another guy, Dirk Rogers, who's been here for 20 years, and Veronica, who's our coordinator. She's been here. She's rounding 20 years. So yeah, I mean, we have a lot of people that have been here a long time, and we have rotations, and some people will finish up a show and people will leave because we don't have any more work for them, and they'll go work somewhere else. And then when we have work, we'll reach out to them, you know, and if they're available,
yeah, I didn't realize that. That's pretty common. Then you'll have just someone come work on for a specific one series.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a core crew of people, you know, and always have, but a lot of the time we just hire per show. So, you know.
Can I ask you about the studio that you're in? So it's clear you're in an office, but then outside of that, is there like an art studio portion that's messy and dirty and all creative?
No, not messy and dirty.
Not messy and dirty per se.
No.
It can get messy and dirty?
It can, but people have to clean. Yes, it's a 20,000 square foot shop, art studio.
Yeah.
So this is my office, and there are offices up front and so forth. And the main design room is in the office space. But then you go in the back and there's a sculpture room, and there's a mold making area, and there's a fabrication and seamstress area, mechanical department. So it's all broken up into departments, but yes, it's a giant shop. That's all, you know, parceled out into different departments, you know. And there's right now about 30, 35 people working here. And everybody is, you know, I have sculptors, I have mold makers, I have painters, you know, seamstress. So
location, I mean, you have to be in in California for your business, right?
No, not at all.
The reason I asked that is we live in a small town called Hannibal, Missouri, Mark Twain's hometown, and it's this tiny little town. Missouri has a film commission, but there's no one gives a shit about Hannibal. But like just right across the street from me, there's a huge hospital that has been vacant for fucking 10 years, and it looks like you could film an entire series there, and no one would bother you for years. Then we got old churches that are run down, and we have all of this old infrastructure for a perfect zombie series or anything.
Right.
And I just don't know how I can. I mean, I worked in the film industry, but 20 years ago, I don't know anybody anymore. But I always wonder, like, why isn't that happening?
Well, that has to do with the film commission. They need to get out there and promote it, and you know, go to these shows or these conventions they have, film conventions and film markets, and sell it, and like, look, you can have this, and imagine shooting this here and this, and this is, you know, and it's also about a tax credit. You have to take a look and see if your state has a specific tax credit. Is it more cost effective? Because see, the thing is, in where you live, there's not really a film community. Right. So you'd have to bring everybody in. So you have to think about that. You're going to have to bring the crew in. You're going to have to put them up. You're going to have to fly them out. You're going to have to give them per diem. You're going to have to get them car. You're going to pay for the gas.
Right.
And if there's not a tax rebate, then that's going to be a problem. So where you can go to Atlanta and you get your tax rebate, and they've got great crews there. So
is that, you feel like that states or cities states that just don't realize the amount of revenue a film production brings in. Like that's everybody was shooting in Canada for a while until Atlanta did their whole till Atlanta put in those great tax breaks. But it's like it's the only. I mean, that's where everyone goes to film now.
It's pretty, yeah. I mean, it's very cyclic, you know. I mean, it always used to be California for obvious reasons, weather and, you know, all that stuff. And the crews are great here and the unions and so forth. And then producers started to look for less expensive options, you know, and went to Canada, which I've shot a lot in and had a magnificent time. And then Canada got expensive. Then they went to Europe and then, you know, shot in Bulgaria and Prague. And, you know,
Prague was the big one for a while.
Yeah, Prague is big. And so anyhow, it just goes around in a circle.
Right.
And, you know,
then there's the story you hear about in Los Angeles where the guy will go out and mow his lawn during the shoot. So that you've got those people, people that want, they want some extra cash, you know, like, hey, sorry, got to mow the lawn. Like, okay, we'll pay you $1,000 if you stop mowing your lawn. You know, you've got that going on too. Does that come out of the sound guy's pocket or does that come out of the production?
No, that's out of locations actually.
Oh, is it?
Locations has to deal with that shit. So I always feel bad, like. It's like, you know, we hear this, and the poor location guys to go out and find where that noise is, and then talk to the person like, please, can we not do that? So it's always
it's 3 a.m. I need to mow my lawn now.
yeah. Well,
what were your early influences, or what got you into doing the makeup, like to doing special effects?
Well, I loved monsters in movies. My dad was a film fanatic, and he kind of raised me on monster films and just movies in general, because I love all movies. And I saw a movie called the Thing with Two Heads, or Two-Headed Transplant, one of those movies. And in it had like this two-headed gorilla, and I was like, God, that's so cool. And a guy named Rick Baker had done it. I didn't know who Rick Baker was at that time, but I just knew, seeing all these monster films and the classic Universal films and so on and so forth, I knew that there was somebody or people that made these creatures for movies. You know, my dad explained it to me, and I started just, you know, there wasn't internet, there weren't books, there weren't schools. So there was a magazine called Famous Monsters of Filmland, and my dad got me a copy, and in there was all this magical stuff. And I was like, okay, you know, once in a while there'd be an article on John Chambers and how he did Planet of the Apes, or there'd be, you know, this young guy named Rick Baker doing Incredible Melting Man, and then also Ray Harryhausen, who was the godfather of stop motion animation. And I loved all those movies, Jason and the Argonauts and Valley of the Gwangi and Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Those were
did he do the Clash of the Titans?
He did the original Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
That was the last movie he did.
Okay.
So I mean, it's just all that stuff. So I then realized, okay, so I'm going to have to focus in on my art, learn how to sculpt, learn how to draw, learn how to paint, you know, learn how to do makeup. And I just started doing it in my own bedroom. And I had three younger sisters, and they were my subjects. They were my victims when we were growing up. So I would just go ahead and do all my test makeups on them. They weren't willing, but they had no choice. But yeah, that's it. I mean, and then of course, once I really got into it, you know, in my early teens, you know, I learned about Rick Baker and Stan Winston and Dick Smith and Rob Bottin, and, you know, started writing them and getting to meet them. And yeah, it's really, I was just super aggressive in terms of trying to get to where I wanted to go. And I took initiative.
Right.
And, it was a lot of phone calls, a lot of, you know, walking miles with a box of crap to Stan Winston Studios and knocking on his door, and things like that. So it was
you
good.
Mentioned Dick Smith. Did he do Taxi Driver, or did he do the?
Yeah. Dick worked on Taxi Driver. Dick worked on Little Big Man, The Hunger.
Isn't he known for his like making the fake blood, like the new kind of?
Well, yeah. I mean, he came up with a formula in the 60s or 70s. That's the same formula we use today.
What was the form? What were people using prior to?
Well, there was a company, 3M, and they produced a film blood that, if you watch films from like the 60s and early 70s, it has like a very like red, cadmium red kind of paint
like
quality to it.
Oh.
Yeah, almost orange. Yeah. It's very opaque. It doesn't look real. So, but it looked okay in person, but it doesn't look good on film. So Dick was like, this is terrible. I want to reinvent the wheel. So he came up with a formula that was like Caro syrup base with different food colorings and a preservative and a wetting agent in there so that it didn't like beat up. It soaked in and sheathed as blood does. And when I was a little kid, I wrote Dick Smith about it, and he sent me the formula, which I still have.
Oh wow!
And that's the formula I used as a kid.
He wasn't worried. Like he was okay with just sharing that. Huh?
Oh yeah, he was all about sharing.
Awesome.
Yes. Dick Smith was not. He shared with everyone. I have a giant book sitting here with all my notes from Dick Smith when I was growing up. Everything. And anytime I had a question, I would write a letter to Dick Smith, and he would then eventually write me back. But he was always really good about it, which then led me into like me thinking like, if I ever get to a position like Dick Smith, or, you know, I promise I'll write everybody back. But that, of course, was when, you know, handwriting. Now I get 5 million emails every day and DMs and all that stuff. So I write everybody back. So, but it's, you know, it was great. It's great. And Dick was very, very accommodating to everybody, you know.
Is Dick still alive, or is he?
No, he passed away.
Yeah.
He passed away.
The blood scenes in Taxi Driver, that's like one of the most brutal things. I'm not most brutal, but man, I remember seeing that when I was a kid. I was like, oh my God, this is so real.
It's also brutal within the context of the movie.
Sure,
you know?
Yeah.
That's how you have to look at it. Like, it's the movie, it's how Dick's effects were used as part of the storytelling.
Yeah.
And that's something else too you have to look at when you're working on a movie, is like, you don't want to be grandstanding. It's not about the effects. The effects integrate into the storytelling and allows the director to, you know, let it integrate into their world. So
well, speaking of directors and blood and stuff, I got into filmmaking. I was talking about this in the intro, but I saw Pulp Fiction in the theater like 13 times, and I signed up for film school the next day. I mean, I was a fan. I always wanted to do special effects when I was a kid, but never making the movie part until Pulp Fiction.
Right.
And I saw Reservoir Dogs after, and I just realized, I didn't realize that you guys were, I mean, I guess I did realize it, but I didn't really realize it until last night when I was just re-going through your credits. Mm-hmm. But you've pretty much worked on all of Tarantino's movies. Mm-hmm. And I thought I saw an interview or heard or saw something where you were talking about the blood you did for Kill Bill was kind of not that same blood that Dick Smith came up with.
Well, it was different. We had different blood on that movie. So, yeah. I mean, we've done all Quentin's movies with the exception of Jackie Brown, because there was nothing in Jackie Brown.
Right.
But we've always worked with Quentin from day one till now. And
he was a fan of your. That's all. I mean, I'm sure you realize it, but like for someone like me, like that's incredible.
Mm-hmm. He's very loyal. He's a very loyal guy, and we're very loyal to him as well.
Good.
So on Kill Bill, during the House of Blue Leaves scene, we went through 500 gallons of blood, and it was a lot of blood.
It's like a gore concert.
Yeah, it was like a gore concert, exactly. And so one day, Quentin was yelling about needing Japanese sword blood, and I was like, "What the hell is he talking about?" And I was like, I went over. I'm like, "What do you?" He's like, "Japanese sword blood. You know what I mean?" And I'm like, "I'm not sure what you mean." He's like, "Yes, you do. You know, the Japanese sword blood." And I'm like, "Oh, he means like, so it looks like the old 3M blood, you know?" So I ran upstairs and I grabbed a gallon of blood and I poured in milk into it, and it then clouded it and made it opaque and weird looking. Shook it up, took it down, and put it on the sword. And he's like, "See, I knew you had it. You know, you said you didn't have it." Da, 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 da. And so I gave it to the prop guys, who were like, "Oh, thank God. Thank you so much. We thought we were going to get our heads cut off." And so I went upstairs and I made a bunch more, but not using milk. I was like, okay, I'm going to have to reformulate this and use zinc oxide. But in that moment, as Quentin was really demanding the Japanese, sword blood stuff, I just mixed it really quick with something that was white and opaque, and that worked out great. But yes, so we have a blood on our shelves because we sell a lot of blood for film, and it's all different types. There's human blood, there's human dressing blood, there's pumping blood, there's vampire blood, there's zombie blood, and then we have low light blood, which is also known as Tarantino blood. So yeah, and Quentin's the only one that gets the Tarantino blood. Everyone else gets the sticker that says low light.
Right.
But when we go to set for Quentin and he needs, you know, we always bring a couple gallons of Quentin Tarantino blood. He
seems pretty intense. Does he ever like calm down?
Oh yeah, he's the greatest. I love
mean,
Quentin
he seems
Tarantino.
great, but he just seems high strung a lot.
No, he's
Creative.
he's very excitable.
Yeah.
He's very passionate. He is very smart. His brain is always ticking and working. And he's one of the he's my favorite director to work with. I adore him.
Yeah, he seems to be not seems to be. I know he is incredibly knowledgeable about cinema.
Oh, and he knows everything.
Cinema.
Yeah. Well, he's got a book coming out, I think next week or the beginning of November, all about cinema. So he's starting a book. I saw he's starting a book tour. So, but yeah, no, he can do anything. He's so talented, and I love all his movies, and
yeah, me too.
I love working with him, and I know Greg loves working with him, and he's become a good friend through all the decades. And
awesome.
It's super, super cool, man. He's a great
I don't know
director.
if it's a secret, but does it in Kill Bill? Does it cut to the gray scene in there because of all of the blood? Like it would have got an X rating or something, or was it just for?
You know what? I don't know. There's a Japanese version that's all in color.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
So it could be that, but it could also be stylistic. I mean, we got in, obviously it was very, very bloody.
Yeah.
And during that sequence, it's very, very bloody. But it's hard to say. Quentin, listen, originally Kill Bill was shot as one entire movie.
Right.
So there wasn't a Kill Bill 1 and a Kill Bill 2. It was just Kill Bill.
During production, it was always just that then?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. It's one script.
Ah.
And so we shot it as one, and the cut came out to be like 4.5 hours. And Quentin was like, I could release it. And the studio was up for releasing a 4.5 hour movie.
Oh, wow.
But then Quentin thought, no, what? I think I'm going to cut it. I think I'm going to cut it into 2 movies. And it was great. And it worked out really, really well. And I remember going to see it, and he said that he's like, I had the option. I could do either or, but I decided to make 2 films instead of the one. And I think it all worked out really, really well because I remember when the second movie was released, that same day they released the first movie on like DVD. So they basically with their promos killed 2 birds with one stone. It's like, before you see Kill Bill 2, buy Kill Bill 1 on DVD today. And I was like, that's a stroke of genius. So
they were both shot at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
wow.
It was all one movie.
Okay.
All one movie.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a long shoot. I was on that for like 9 months.
God, yeah.
Wow.
How fun.
Yeah. It was
And
crazy.
then he must have been editing forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's pretty brilliant. You guys, was Reservoir Dogs how did you guys end up? Well, I'll get off of it, but how did you guys end up working with Tarantino? Was he just a fan of your guys's, or?
Well, we were friends with Quentin before he was famous. So we knew Quentin from another friend of ours, Scott Spiegel, who used to have these barbecues on Sunday. And he was friends with Quentin, and that's how we met Quentin. And we just became friends, and we'd go see movies together and go out, go eat, and whatever. We'd always go to the art cinemas and go see like the Japanese John Woo action films like Better Tomorrow or, those films. And Quentin had no money then. So we would get up to buy our tickets, and Quentin would then go, I don't have any money. Can you get my ticket?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes. Or when we go eat, the bill would come. He's like, I don't have any money today. I'm like, yes, I got your lunch. And I remember he came to visit while we had a break. When we got back from China on Kill Bill, we had a break just like a week or so to regather ourselves before we started shooting back here in the States. And Quentin came up to the shop, and before he left, he's like, hey, I don't have any money. Can I borrow $20? And I just went like, I can't believe you don't have any money on you. I said, here's $20. I said, you don't have to pay it back. You've paid us enough in all these years. So anyhow, Bob Kurtzman, who was the K in KNB, he wrote a 20-page treatment for a movie he wanted to make called From Dusk Till Dawn. But he really wasn't a writer at the time, and he wanted to he wanted to get a writer. So he knew Quentin wrote. So he's like, hey, I asked Quentin, and Quentin was working at the video store. And Quentin's like, yeah, dude, I'll write the script. That sounds great. So we paid him $1,500. And it was the first time Quentin was ever paid to write a script. And from that money, he was able to not have to work at the video store and focus on writing. And then we also promised that if he ever made a movie, his first movie, we would do the effects for free. And we weren't sure if he was ever going to make a movie, but we just threw that in as part of the deal. So he ended up writing Dusk Till Dawn for Bob. Bob shopped it around. People hated it. They said, this is nonlinear. You can't tell this story. It's, is it a gangster movie or is it a monster movie? It doesn't make any sense. And then the script kind of died and just laid there for a long, long time. And then Quentin called one day and said, hey, I got money to make this movie, and I'm going to call in the other half of the deal, which is you guys do all the effects for free. And that was Reservoir Dogs. So we did all the effects for free. And we didn't know what we were into, but we knew, he had a good cast. It was a great script. Anyhow, movie was done, edited, finished. And Quentin called us one night and said, hey, I'm going to screen the movie down in Hollywood. Why don't you guys come on down? So we went down to Hollywood and we saw the movie, and we were blown away. Like our jaws hit the floor. And we were shocked beyond belief and how great the movie was. And the next day, Quentin was a superstar. And that Dusk Till Dawn script became a really, really hot script. Anything Quentin wrote that got really bad notes from the studios, be it Dusk, or be it Natural Born Killers or True Romance. He had written a handful of scripts that became giant movies, but they all got bad notes because they didn't fit the bill of, storytelling the way it was. So Quentin was very innovative in the way he tells stories. It had never been done before.
Absolutely.
And now it's like you see
now they teach it in film school.
Well, yeah, and people try to emulate Quentin Tarantino, and I'll watch a movie and go, they're trying to be Quentin, and there's only one Quentin Tarantino, and he's the only one that can do this.
And that can be distracting in a movie when it's always nice for you to borrow from your the people you admire, but when it becomes a distraction, and that's what's great about Tarantino movies is his was so different than anyone else's.
Oh yeah, you've never seen it.
If someone's yep, they're stealing that. We're not stealing, but
and even the banter. I've seen movies and it doesn't work.
Yeah,
Quentin has a style. Quentin has a style of directing. I watch him. And he directs each actor differently because each actor has a different personality. Opposed to directing everybody the same, you're not going to get the same results. If you're directing this actor, like if you direct Uma Thurman differently than you direct Lucy Liu, then you direct Mike Madsen, then you direct David Carradine, then you direct, Harvey Keitel. It's all different. And Quentin is a master at that. Yeah. And, he can be very kind and gentle if he feels like the actor needs that. And then he can be very forceful and aggressive if he feels that's what's going to get the actor motivated. So I think he's a complete genius, and I love every movie he's made. I think he's wonderful. And I'm a huge fan. And also, if you haven't read or audio listened to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is his first novel, it's fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah, I'll have to read
I was obsessed. Like I'm going to read it again. It was so great because I'm thinking like, okay, so he did and this is Quentin's first book. Yeah. And I was like, he did a novelization of his movie, but it's not what you think it is. And I don't want to even say, but it's not what you think it is. I loved it. I had it on audio and I just listened to it, and I would listen to like, an hour a day. And oh God, it was so good. And the way he tells the stories are so great.
It's not the movie.
Right.
And did it come out before or after the movie?
Came out after. It came out last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's so great. It's so great. I loved it. It's such a great book. So, and it's written so well. So well.
I'm very thrilled to know that you love movies, that you're still into movies, and that's you there. Well, how about this is a Sophie's choice: Conan the Barbarian or Conan O'Brien?
Oh, Conan the Barbarian! Are you crazy?
I know. Who did the makeup for the Barbarian series for the movie?
The new one?
No, the original.
The Schwarzenegger one. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Because that was all done in the UK and Spain. And
okay.
But I love that movie. That's one of my favorite films.
So great.
Yeah. John Milius directed it, wrote and directed it and wrote it with Oliver Stone. And it is a great lesson to watch. It's great to watch. You learn so much about how the right way to shoot a movie is.
Yeah, it's everything about it is perfect. There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it. It is great. And Ron Cobb was the production designer, who was a brilliant artist. who passed away last year, and Schwarzenegger is outstanding. Great music, Basil Palladores, one of my favorite scores, and and John Milius, who is a crazy ass filmmaker who I love.
That makes me wonder, when it first came out, was it a hit?
It wasn't a hit, but it wasn't a failure.
Right.
So, but I went to see it opening day.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I loved it. I ditched high school and I diverted to a movie theater by my house and lied to my parents. Said school was great. But instead sat in a movie theater watching Conan the Barbarian. I used to do that a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, we have a call-in question for you.
All right.
And it's from a guy. Before I'll lead into this question from this guy. When I was a kid, when I wanted to be a special effects artist, he was this kid 2 years older than me, and he was way into he knew all things horror movie, all that. And I think maybe that was what kind of got me into it. One night we had a sleepover at his house, and we watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And I think I was probably 10 or something. But I fucking called my mom. They fell asleep, and I called my mom and had her come pick me up from the house. I was fucking terrified. But anyway, this is the guy who's called in with the question. He owns Skull Shop. He's a good friend of mine. I grew up in the neighborhood with him. And I think he just sent you guys some skulls. But anyway, here we go. Let's hear what his question is.
All right.
Hey, Ty, this is Kyle from Ohio, currently sitting in New Mexico on my way down to Son of Monsterpalooza. I had a question for Howard Berger. I was wondering what advances in materials and processes over the years have helped streamline production or come up with a better result for things that they used to do in the past versus what they do currently. I certainly don't miss Zotter's spirit gum and mineral spirits all over my face. Anyway, thanks for your time, and congratulations on the book, Howard.
Oh, that was nice. I'll see him at Monsterpalooza this weekend. That'll be great. I would say there's a lot of things that are different. I mean, we still have the same processes, but, there's a lot of different materials. We use a lot of silicone. We don't use spirit gum anymore except for gluing down hair pieces and things like that. And even that's changed a lot. But, we use a lot of silicone appliances, prosthetics, which are great gel filled. They work really, really well. I go back and forth between different materials depending on what the show is, what I feel the show's needs are. I love foam rubber still. I use a lot of foam rubber on shows, but I'll use a lot of silicone. I'll use a lot of the Prozade 3D transfers, which we call lick and stick 'em. So they're kind of like, 2D tattoos, water slide, and except the 3-dimensional, we use a lot of that stuff based on, what you can get away with and what you need. All the wound stuff is that way. They hold really, really well. They look great all day long. And, but yeah, no, it's a lot of different materials. You have, like I said, silicone adhesives, you have great sealers. It's certainly changed a lot since the way back when. I used to apply makeups, when I was younger with spirit gum. Yeah, with spirit gum, and it was just stinky and smelly. And sometimes you'd have somebody in your chair, be it an actor or maybe usually a stunt guy, and they were out drinking the night before. So you're putting the spirit gum on their face, which is alcohol solvent, and the glue would start to crystallize and the piece would fall off because they were sweating, and they were sweating alcohol. So they were basically sweating off what we were gluing down. And it was a mess. And I would always go like, did you go out drinking last night? It's like, yeah, dude, I got totally hammered. I'm like, yeah, because nothing's sticking because you're sweating alcohol. So that happened quite a bit. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a good question. So yeah, materials are very different. Even in the shop, we use, we don't use duplaster molds anymore. We use syntactic urethane systems, and all our molds are syntactic now, which last forever. They run really, really well, and they don't break down, and they're lightweight. So that's really the thing, because when we used to have like hundreds of plaster molds, it was insane. But now they're lightweight syntactic molds, and they work great.
Are materials cheaper, or is it inflate, or have they gone along?
Oh yeah, no, nothing's cheap. Nothing's inexpensive. It's all everything's expensive.
Did that change a lot during, like, after the pandemic? Did you have any it went up a lot?
And shortage too. We couldn't like we had a hard time finding rubber gloves, believe it or not. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But things that we use every day, we were all on back order. It was when we came back to work, we came back very, very slowly with a teeny tiny crew just to test the waters, and it was really difficult to get materials and all that stuff. So it was a lot of work.
Does the high resolution, was there a long period of adjustment to that?
There still is.
Yeah,
I hate it.
Yeah, because the camera can see every fucking
they see everything that your eye cannot see. So you miss a lot of stuff. And I'll like look at something and I'm like, okay, yeah, I think it looks okay to me. And then I'll go look on a monitor and I see 100 things wrong with it. And I'm like, I can't see it with my naked eye. And it's unnecessary, I think. Every department suffers except for like post-production and, and production, I guess, because they just keep rolling and rolling. I feel bad for the editors because the editors have like nonstop shit that they have to cut through. It's like, instead of just having film and using, here are the takes, print the takes that you're going to use, and this is the choice. There's just like, they just let the camera roll, and there's like hours of people wandering around. I'm like, what's the reason behind this? This doesn't make any sense to me. So,
what is the reason? What are we benefiting from this high resolute? What is the benefit?
Well, I think it's a combination. I mean, I think from the money standpoint, they think it's less expensive than shooting film, because of post-production, and they don't have developing costs. But I don't know about that. I think that's bologna sandwiches. And then, and because people for some reason think like, higher K or whatever, 4K or 8K or whatever is better than anything. And it's like, it's not. It looks like shit.
Yeah.
I remember I
can't watch a movie if it
we purposely, like, we have a screening room, and I said, buy a projector that's not great, because I'm not watching this I'm not watching any movie in high def.
It doesn't feel like a movie.
No, it's not. It's horrible. And I remember I went to like Best Buy or something. We were looking at TVs years ago, and they had documentary stuff and, fish under the water. And I'm like, yeah, that looks fucking great. But I said to the guy, I said, is there a movie, option here? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, so a movie doesn't look like a piece of shit. I said, it's like, oh no, but it's, in 4K, it's amazing. I said, no, in 4K, it sucks.
Yeah.
I said, put a movie on, and they put on Transformers. And I'm like, look how shitty that looks. And he went, oh my God, you're right. I said, because you guys have these TVs and you're playing things that were shot digitally, specifically to be projected digitally. But if you watch a movie, it looks terrible. It looks flat because it's digital. Mm-hmm. You have to have some sort of like theater or cinema setting. So that's what we do. I'm like, I'm not going to ever watch anything in high def because I think it looks terrible.
Do you think a movie company or a director or a production company will realize that and come out with something soon that's like, no? You think we're stuck with it?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
I think it's going to be the next generation that's like, hey, there's this stuff they used to use called film. That's really cool. And it's vintage and retro, and we should do that. I mean, we have filmmakers like Paul Thomas Anderson and Quentin Tarantino and Christopher Nolan and J.J. Abrams, and they shoot film, and I love it, and it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I go to a film set and they're shooting film, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Oh my God, this is so beautiful.
I think it'll have that same retro comeback thing. I think that will
maybe
happen.
Yeah, I mean, it'll never be what it was because it's just too expensive. Everything comes down to the bottom line at the end of the day, sadly. So
it is a business.
I just hope that people haven't forgotten on the other side of the camera how to process the film.
Film
because it's
there's not a lot of labs. There's only like a very small handful of labs, and there's a very small handful of manufacturers of film.
And then everything's different. Lighting, all of that's different when
everything's different. It's all different.
Talent goes or not talent, but that craft. Mm-hmm. Like brick masons. Like my dad was a brick mason, so I come from that. But I worry about that going away. No one's going into learning how to lay bricks. Then what? Our houses are built.
Yeah, no, it's They'll 3D print your house, which I think they're doing nowadays.
They are.
They are, right? They're 3D printing homes. Yeah, I mean, technology takes over, and sometimes it's better, but just because it's new doesn't mean it's best. That's my feeling about things. So, yeah, your drawing's looking good. I like that there's a Minotaur underwater with the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, and I was trying. Did you design the
Yes.
Yeah, the one from Chronicles of Narnia.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the sign that he's holding. I mean, it's always going to be in my style. But the sign that say, "What are you doing down here?"
There you go. Yeah, what's a Minotaur doing underwater?
And then I always do tentacles as as
right.
Lovecraft things.
And you're right. And you're right-handed, huh?
I am. Yeah. Yeah. Are you left-handed?
Yeah, I'm left. Yeah.
Do you still draw a lot?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Not as much as I should, but yes, I do. I doodle a lot.
Yeah, I found sometimes when I have people who aren't artists on the show, it looks like shit, right? Obviously, I will have to detail it later. It's supposed to be a
of
minute
course.
discussion.
You're not going to do it in 45 minutes. So.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
Right.
When I came up with the concept of the show, at the time I was doing a whole bunch of quick doodles during the pandemic because I was finding that I was losing. It's one of those skills that if you don't draw every day, it goes away. Like.
It does. And that's where I'm at. Like I have to get back into it. My wife's a fine artist and she works nonstop. And I'm always feeling stupid. Like I should sit down and work and even just do drawings. And I've got tons and tons of stuff, but it's like, I need to get back into it.
Well, and plus things get so busy, especially for someone like you. I can tell you, I know you don't need advice from anybody, but I did start doing that. I bought that little cheap timer and I set it for 1 hour. Cause we all have an hour goes by like that.
Oh yeah.
For 1 hour and I just do a drawing and that's 1 hour.
Smart.
And it just keeps
Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, it works. It works. I do it every morning with my coffee.
That's smart. And I'm impressed that you're drawing and talking because I can't do that. I have to focus on the drawing. I would just be if I was drawing, I would just barely have like the legs drawn. It's just because I'd be talking the whole time. I can't work and talk. I'm focusing and.
Well, most of my drawing comes from my subconscious anyway, so I do prefer to not be thinking about what I'm drawing. Though when I'm talking to people where I'm like seriously interested in every moment, it's harder for me. And so having this discussion with you is a little harder.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this, Sophie's Choice, real quick. My timer. I don't know what the hell happened to it.
Yeah, I think you're about there, though.
I know. Let me just hit you with a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'll do a couple of these Sophie's Choice ones. So Brian Dennehy or Brian Brown?
Brian Dennehy.
Awesome. Yeah. And I bring that question up because there was the 1986 movie FX with Brian Brown and Brian Dennehy. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying it was the movie when I saw it, he goes into his apartment and he's got these, stuff everywhere, all his special effects, monsters and all that. And I dreamed of having my house like that. Mm-hmm. I just thought that is so cool. So I wanted to know, was your house ever like that? Is it like that? Or
right. When I was a kid, my bedroom was like that, wall-to-wall monsters. As an adult now, my house is not like that. I have 2 rooms. I have my office that has a lot of cool shit in it. And because I have my shop, so I keep a lot of the stuff, like all this shit here. My wife's like, so what are you doing about this when you retire? I'm like, it's going to go home, And she's like, no, it's not. And so in my office, I have a lot of stuff, a lot of art, a lot of cool Star Wars stuff, a lot of cool Star Wars helmets and lightsabers and all that shit. And then I have a room upstairs that's like my / wine room, cigar room. And that's got cool. So it's got the giant Haunted Mansion stretch paintings in there and a little Frankenstein thing. And I've got a lot of monsters in there. Creature from the Black Lagoon, some original artwork. I collect the original artwork for one sheets for posters.
Yeah. So
I'll look for those and buy those all the time. And I've got a stack of unframed, amazing amount of art. So that someday I'll frame it. I don't know, or maybe I won't. I don't know. But yes. And my wife, the outside of that, the house, just if you went there, you would know that a monster maker works there, which I like. I didn't want monster shit all over the house because it's not really what it's about. But yeah, that's it. Just 2 rooms, 2 rooms that have some monster stuff in it.
Okay, I'm going to rapid fire you because I know the time is running. I knew it was going to happen. I even mentioned it at the first. There was just going to be so much
it's all
that
good.
I wanted to ask you about, but we'll just have to do it another time or something. But Fangoria or Gore Zone?
Fangoria.
Yeah.
Fangoria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that
Fang.
magazine. What was your favorite horror movie, like monster magazine?
My favorite monster magazine.
Yeah.
Well, I love Famous Monsters of Filmland, that 4A acronym put out, but I love Fangoria.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, I remember getting the first issue my mom bought me when I was a kid, and I just lost my mind. I couldn't believe what was in there.
It's so
And
cool.
I was
And
like,
they're
this is a
still
magazine
on
just
print.
for me. Yeah, it's different now. It's
Sure.
different. It's not what it was. I mean,
Right.
it's great. It's high quality, I'll tell you that much. But it's a different world. So, it's not as much about the stuff I love.
Yeah, well,
but that's
true,
okay.
too, because they can. I mean, I follow them on Instagram, so now like they share their stories on Instagram, so it's almost not like you have to run out and get the
Right.
print.
Well, there are no more magazines. I mean,
Right.
there used to be Cinefex, Cine Fantastic, Cinemagic, Gore Zone, all gone. All
Yeah.
those magazines are gone, and there's Fangoria, and that's it. And that was also part of the impetus of me writing the book. It's like there's nothing out there that chronicles the history of individual people that work in the film industry, and I want this to be something that can help perpetuate those stories and the history of what we do, and be a learning ground for up and coming makeup artists, and just something really, really fun. And
Yeah.
as all the magazines started to die off, there was no more resource. And
Well,
it's
that's a good
unfortunate.
sign that it's been sold out. I mean, that means there is a want for it.
Yeah, absolutely there is. So it's great. People seem to really love it, and they enjoy it. It's fun. It's, people, it's great.
What about this one? I want to know the MPAA. Was there ever anything that you put in a movie that got cut out because of?
Yeah, of course.
You hate that?
Well, I did. Now I think the ratings board is horseshit. So, but there was a period, probably in the 90s, where they were very, very strict with stuff, and there was stuff we would make that got cut out.
Have they lightened up? Are they? Do they?
I don't even think they have any power. I don't think, because
Hey.
if you're streaming, who gives a
Yeah,
fuck?
that's true.
Everything goes now. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
When you were talking about Howard being on Sirius now, I was like, well, he was up against what do you call that? The FDC?
Yeah.
But I think that's even like the stuff I hear on the radio. I'm like, that would have never.
No,
you could have
never.
never heard this.
Yeah, it's a different world now. So, I think the ratings board is whatever.
Well, they're useless
They have
now.
yeah. I thought they were always useless.
Yeah, me too.
I hated the ratings board. I thought that, how dare they not allow me to see somebody's art.
I do
or
find
their
that we
vision.
every once in a while now we not anymore because our daughter's 16, our son's 14, but we were using a thing just to know, like, can we watch this with the kids? Is there It's usually like sex stuff that we didn't want to watch with the
Well,
kids.
yeah, of course, but you can do research about that on your own. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to have a G or a F
and that's
or
what I
whatever.
meant.
Yeah,
Okay, let
and
me
you
hit
just
these-
go.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, go
I was
on.
gonna say, let me hit these three the main things on our show because I forget to, and they always end up at the last. We'll do the question from Dibs, and then I want to do this useless factoid, and then we can we can get
Sounds
going.
good.
Give it up, Mr. Tibbs on the turntable.
Listen to more of this.
Well, probably time to do some questions. Let me get my question pouch out. Dig around down here in the bottom. See what's in my word satchel. Probably got something good in here. Hold on while I grub around in it. All right, Howard, before we get to the actual question, I need you to just take a look at Tai. From the waist to the top of his head, his hair, his beard thing, his breasticles, his general, torsomatic revelations. Just soak in all the tie. Soak it on in like you're a tie sponge. There you go. Now take all that tiness and help me answer this question. Which one of these three movie monsters / creation things or whatever you could do the makeup on, and it would best represent the essence of Tai as a movie character?
Huh.
1, the troll from Cat's Eye. Just think about his beard, take a look at Tai's head. You can feel me on that one. 2, Riverdance Godzilla from Monster Zero. If you could see below the waist, you'd see his knees, and you'd understand why I put that one in there. Or 3, Dirk Diggler's prosthetic dong from Boogie Nights.
That's good.
Choice is yours. I think you know where I'm going with my choice.
All right, those were very, very good. By the way, I kept going like, okay, yeah. Listen, I'm gonna go with something that I was responsible for, and it's going to be the Dirk Diggler prosthetic. So, because really, how it worked is we had the prosthetic on Mark, and then we had a little what we call a merkin, a little hairpiece. So that could definitely be your beard that we go on, and that kind of blends it all together. And yeah, you know, it's just, and I think if you were kind of like leaning this way, kind of bending over, it would be appropriate. Like if you were like bending down, and I think that we could probably take the Dirk Diggler appendage and be able to convert it.
Do you guys have that at the shop, or does the
no Mark has it?
Oh, he does.
Yeah, give it to Mark. I was talking about this yesterday to somebody else, and Mark, we gave it to Mark at the end of the show, and he has it in a safe in a glass container or something like that. But yes, we have all the molds, but we gave Mark the
that's great.
The actual Dirk Diggler.
Was that in the script? Like, was that written out? Did you know that you guys were going to have to come up with that?
Yeah.
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 At the original script, did you always know that was going to be at the end? That was how the movie ended in the original script? Oh, okay. So you guys knew. You had to plan for that for a while.
We did. But we had to make versions that Mark could wear underneath his clothes because you see the outline. Yeah. So we had a bunch of different versions of that.
Did you always know how the size you were going to make it, or did you have to try different?
We tried different. Yeah. We first made one that was 12 inches. And on Mark, it was pretty gigantic. And so we then made one that was 7 inches. And that's the one we went with.
Oh, yeah.
The 7-inch one. Yeah.
It looks so real. But that's something that you don't see all the time, like a cat. So it's easier to make those look real.
This is very true. Well, yeah, I guess so. Depends. But yes, no, it was good in that it had the proper weight when Mark takes it out. And a guy we work with all the time, his name's Garrett Emmel. He spearheaded the work on that movie, and he sculpted that and applied it on Mark and all that good stuff. So, but yeah.
We end the show with a philosophical question. I do want to just say this though. From Dusk Till Dawn, are you the one that turns Tom Savini?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have a relationship with Tom, or is it a competitive relationship, or you guys?
No, nobody's competitive.
That's what I was going to ask, if that business was competitive.
No, because Tom's also retired. So
yeah.
But no, I actually got a text from Tom this morning. So
tell him you did our show, because he was going to do our show right during the pandemic, and then they were doing those mass things. And I know he's got his school and he's busy, dude. But I love that dude too.
He's the best. Tom is a great guy. I love Tom to no end.
Here's our philosophical question, then we'll wrap up, and then we'll do a final promotions of what you're promoting and things that are coming up. And the philosophical question is there an inherent order in nature, or is it all chaos and chance?
Okay. It's a little bit of both. I mean, I always feel everything happens for a reason, you know, but I do believe that there is a tremendous amount of chaos. But I feel that with the chaos, and I don't feel like anything's predestined. I don't believe that, but I do believe things happen for a reason. And I know some people hate when I say that, but I have experienced, be it pro or con, or positive or negative, that things that will happen, and eventually they will reveal themselves, the outcome of that. And I can tie it together. And granted, that just might be me doing that, you know, and then go like, see, if that didn't happen, it's kind of the sliding doors thing. If that didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened. Or if this, everything leads to a path, whatever that path is. Again, it's not predestined. It's not like there's somebody's like, today, Ty's going to do this. And, after this show, he's going to go walk across the street and, whatever.
Right.
But I just feel everything happens for a reason, and I don't know. Well, but yes, I think things are chaotic. They need to be chaotic, because then you just wouldn't. There can't be order all the time.
Right.
That would be a mess. That'd be worse than not having chaos.
Yeah, there are some governments that try to make it that way.
Oh, yeah.
I did skip this one, but I got to put it in the useless factoid. I had one, and then I was like, well, he knows this one, but this maybe Adrienne. Well, Adrienne definitely doesn't know it. Maybe the people listening don't know it. But in Evil Dead 2, you can see Freddy Krueger's glove hanging on above the door above the tool.
That's true. That is true.
You worked on that one, yes, obviously.
I did.
So if you didn't know that one, and then you're going to know this one, but it was based on, because I'm doing the Creature of the Black Lagoon, but one of the first female animators at Disney, she was Millicent Patrick, right? That was her name. Mm-hmm. She was kind of like one of the original creator of the monster with Bud. Well, Bud Westmore and her kind of designed it, but he downplayed her involvement with it.
Yeah, I don't know how much Bud actually had it involved in it, but there are other artists, a lot of other artists, Chris Mueller, Jack Kelvin. They were very, very instrumental. I think. Would she designed the? I think she did some drawings.
Oh, okay.
That's my feeling. It depends who you speak to. I think she did a lot of drawings after the creature was made.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a different story, but none of us were there, so we don't really know.
That's true.
And well, anybody who was there is long gone.
Yeah, true.
So, but there's been a lot of discussion about that. It depends who you talk to. Some people will champion her, and that's great. I know there's a book out about her, but I think that she was involved, but I don't think she was the designer of the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, because that one was I didn't know. I saw it in a thing, and I thought, oh well, that I'm sure he'll have an idea.
Yeah. I would say out of all those people, Bud Westmore was probably the least involved with the creation of that character.
Well, because he comes up in the main credits.
Well, of course, but that's how the studios used to work. He was in charge of the makeup department. Right. So back then, just the department head got credit. But Bud Westmore could oversee 20 movies being shot at Universal, so his name would be on 20 movies. That doesn't necessarily mean he worked on 20 movies.
Yeah.
So it's just the way the system worked.
Well, it was amazing talking with you. I'm sorry I didn't get the whole thing of the drawing done, but I will get it completed. Good. I'll put some more time into it, and then I'll get it sent out to you. And,
all right, sounds good.
Is there what your final thoughts of what you're promoting? The book?
Sure. Well, I mean, the book is a big thing. So Masters of Makeup Effects, it's written by myself and Marshall Julius, and that can be purchased in any bookstore, your local bookstore, and or ordered on Amazon, or you can go to our website, which is mastersofmakeupeffects.net, and you can order it'll give you links to all the bookstores you can order from, because it's global, so it's all over the world, and also gives you opportunity if you want to purchase any merch, t-shirts and cool swag, buttons, posters, a whole bunch of cool stuff that my buddy at Funky Monkey makes, and then a link to all the bookstores that you can order from. But it's universal, so you can go to any store. I went to like a Barnes and Noble over the weekend, and my books were there, and it was great. Cool. I was super excited.
Yeah, that's fun to see that. Even though you've been in you've worked on movies and your name's in movies, it's cool to see your own book.
Oh yeah, dude, that book busted my ass. So yeah, I'm very proud of it.
Well, congratulations to you, and congratulations to what seems to be a pretty awesome life, and
it's good
things that go for you. So
I can't complain.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us, man. It was
awesome.
Thank
you.
It was really a pleasure. Have a great rest of your day today.
All right, you too. Okay. Take care. Bye.
Okay, there we go. That was a very nice conversation. I thought I lost the timer, and then I had set it over here. So that ticking sounds so loud, so I wanted to move it. So I was, during the last part of it, I thought we had gone over the time limit. So I started feeling like, oh shit, he's a busy guy. He works in the film industry. They're always busy. But prior to the episode, I told him, we usually just ask for about an hour and a half, but he said, oh, we're good. He was good on time. So I don't know. I really enjoyed that. People like that I could talk to forever because they know so much about the movies, and then they have these inside stories. And great question from Mr. Dibbs too. I'm gonna have to text him and tell him that Howard went with me.
Dirt Diggler. That's funny because this morning I saw a headline that said Mark Wahlberg, moved out of Hollywood for his family to be in Nevada instead as
Nevada?
Because isn't he kind of Christian or something?
I don't know. He may have gone
or
that way.
pretty straight and narrow kind of guy. But I'm just thinking okay, he went to this place to have a more normal life for his kids, but then he's got this big thing in a case somewhere. I thought it was funny that he took that prosthetic home.
Thanks to Howard for joining us, and do go out. As he was talking, I was getting ready to log on because I will be getting myself a Masters of Makeup shirt, and I do want to get that book. I also, because I used to buy those Grand Illusion books from Tom Savini. No one cares. I'm rambling. Thank you for listening to the show. And hopefully we'll get Tom Savini on next. I'd like to talk to him about it. Is there anything you'd like to say, Adrienne?
Oh, I was just thinking when he was talking about going into the dressing room with somebody after putting money in the slot, and the guy just kind of busting his balls about whatever. But I don't know. I guess people probably still do that, but...
Ball busting?
Yeah, just kind of that roasting of others and stuff. I wonder if that's kind of a thing that dies with our generation.
God, I hope not. I wanted to ask him when he brought up the roasts. Yeah, because they still have new roasts.
Yeah, but I just mean in general, we would do that with friends. And
I think people still bust balls. You just got to be careful where you're doing it at now.
I mostly had, brothers and guy friends, so I felt like I think it was kind of a guy thing, but I felt like I was around it quite a bit. And
I don't think busting balls is a guy thing, but definitely there is a different kind of busting balls. I think the guys seem to do it a little differently than the women do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I never really had too many friends that were girls, so yeah, I don't know. I
hate to generalize,
really don't
but
know. And I also thought it was interesting because I know that after people drink a lot that they sweat a lot.
Yeah, that's funny.
But I didn't know that it was actual alcohol.
Yeah, isn't that what sweat is? Isn't getting rid of the toxins in you anyway?
Salt. I know it's salty, but I didn't know that it would, you could clean a paintbrush with it. Not really, but it would dissolve
enough
the glue.
That it was. Yeah, that's funny. What do you think of the call-in question thing? I thought that was pretty cool. I'm kind of going to do a little bit more of that. You don't have an opinion on it. Or do you?
Not really. I don't know.
I think it's just nice.
I kind of got lost. I get lost when other people are talking sometimes.
Well, there's a whole lot of other people talking on the show.
I'm trying not to. Well, but we're having a conversation, and that's just kind of comes in. So, and I can't really interact with.
Plus, Kyle's question was very technical, and that's not something. I mean,
and I couldn't clarify.
But spirit gum. Remember how shitty that stuff is?
I don't know it, actually.
Oh, really?
I know what kind of it is. It's like...
It used to come in like a...
goo for...
Not even just a goo. It used to come in like fingernail polish jars, with a little brush on the end, and you would paint that on, and it was like basically super glue.
Oh.
And you'd put that on to put fake scabs on, or fake...
I know what it was used for, but I never...
Oh man, and that stuff, the only way to get it off was like this other stinky stuff called Spirit Gum Remover. I'm sure it was just the same stuff that nail polish remover is.
I'm pretty sure you've done more makeup than I have. I'm just like a mascara kind of person. Always have been. I never did any gashes or painting of my face. I never even used what is it that people put on their face? Girls always have on their face.
I don't know. Base?
Yeah, one of those. So I don't know. You probably have more.
Nale, what is the stuff that girls? What do you put on your face? Makeup put on the face? What is it? Base? What's it called?
Foundation.
Foundation? Is that what you were saying, Adrienne?
Foundation.
Yeah. Thanks.
That kind of stuff.
Have you ever used Spirit Gum?
No.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I think so.
That came up in our conversation today. Okay, that was all. Okay. No, I mean, I don't know. Okay.
Anyway, so yeah.
All right.
Your use with makeup is probably far more extensive than mine. That's all I'm saying.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us, everyone. October 28th is our Creatures of the Night show at the Old Blue Gallery in Hannibal, Missouri. If you're in town, come on through. It's going to be a fun night. And thank you again, Mr. Dibbs, for a great question. That one was great. They're all great. They're fun. But that one, I could see that was making Howard laugh. And I can see that you think of me as Dirk Diggler's dong. So I appreciate that. Any final thoughts or final anythings, Adrienne, or something I'm missing? Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Howard Berger. And next week, we'll see you on DOD45. Whatever. Okay, goodbye.
DOD45.
Thank you for joining in on yet another episode of DOD45. Please hit the subscribe or follow button so that you never miss an episode. You can even go one step further by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts to help other interesting people like yourself find our podcast. You can find me at Art by Tai on all the socials or at artbytai.com. If you'd like to follow this podcast on social media, we are at DOD45W on Instagram, or you can go over to our website, DOD45.com, where you can shoot us an email, join our mailing list, and watch all of our past episodes. Thanks for joining us. Peace.